Are unpaid internships actually legal? You just landed what sounds like an amazing opportunity. A real company, real experience, real connections. The only problem? They want you to work for free. And somewhere in the back of your mind, you are wondering, is that even allowed? That is a smart question to ask. And the answer might surprise you. Welcome to Know the Law. Today we are breaking down the truth about unpaid internships in the United States. We will cover what the law actually says, how employers are supposed to determine whether an intern needs to be paid, what happens when they get it wrong, and what protections you still have even if your internship qualifies as unpaid. This is information every job seeker, recent grad, and career changer needs to know before they sign on the dotted line. Let us start at the foundation. The Fair Labor Standards Act, most people call it the FLSA, is the federal law that governs wages and working conditions across the country. It defines employ as to suffer or permit to work. That phrase matters enormously. It means that if a company allows someone to perform work and benefits from that work, the law presumes that person is an employee who must be paid. Not a volunteer. Not a trainee, an employee. So when a company calls someone an intern instead of an employee, that label alone means nothing under federal law. What matters is the economic reality of the situation. The law looks past job titles and gets to the substance of what is actually happening. So how do courts and regulators decide whether an intern should be paid or not? They use something called the Primary Beneficiary Test. This is the federal standard for determining intern employment status. The central question is simple. Who is the primary beneficiary of this arrangement? If the intern is the primary beneficiary, meaning they are gaining valuable training, education, or experience that primarily serves their own development, there is more room to classify the internship as unpaid. If the company is the primary beneficiary, meaning they are getting real productive work done that helps the business, then the intern is almost certainly entitled to pay. No single factor under this test is automatically the deciding factor. Courts look at the full picture. Things like whether the internship mirrors an academic setting, whether it displaces regular employees, whether there is a clear understanding that it is unpaid from the beginning, all of it gets considered together. And both parties must have a clear and mutual understanding about compensation before the internship even begins. Any express or implied promise of compensation, even something said casually, even something implied by the nature of the work, points toward employee status. That conversation needs to happen up front, and it needs to be unambiguous. Unpaid internships are not automatically illegal everywhere for everyone. Public sector agencies, think government offices and municipal programs, and nonprofit charitable organizations can generally offer unpaid internships where the intern is truly volunteering without any expectation of compensation. The key word there is truly. The intern must genuinely be volunteering. They cannot be performing work that would otherwise require a paid employee. Nonprofit status alone is not a free pass to have unpaid workers. The full analysis still applies. For-profit private sector companies, the bar is higher. And if a paid intern at a for-profit company works more than 40 hours in a single work week, that employer is required to pay overtime compensation at the applicable rate. Here is where things get serious. If an employer misclassifies an intern and should have been paying them, the consequences can be significant. We are talking about recovery of unpaid wages, interest on those wages, attorney's fees, and liquidated damages, meaning additional damages equal to double the amount of unpaid wages, back pay. Employer withheld taxes plus Social Security and unemployment benefits. Misclassification is not a minor clerical error. It exposes employers to real legal and financial liability. Here is something important that often gets overlooked. Even if your internship qualifies as unpaid under the law, you do not lose all of your rights. Interns who are not entitled to compensation still retain statutory protections in certain situations. In many jurisdictions, that includes protections from discrimination and harassment, You cannot be treated differently based on your race, gender, religion, or other protected characteristics just because you are an unpaid intern. In most states, those protections are grounded in federal civil rights law. But some states have gone further and enacted laws specifically protecting unpaid interns from discrimination and harassment, even when those interns are not classified as employees under other employment statutes. Depending on where you live, your protections may be broader than you think. Picture this. A recent college graduate takes an unpaid internship at a marketing firm. She works full-time hours, well over 40 hours some weeks, doing real client work. She was never given any academic training. The company never connected with a school. And when she asked about pay, she was told the experience was her compensation. Under the Primary Beneficiary Test, that firm is the clear primary beneficiary. She performed real labor. The firm benefited directly. She was legally entitled to wages and overtime on top of that. Unpaid internships exist in a narrow legal space. The law presumes you are an employee. If a company wants to call you an intern and pay you nothing, they have to meet a real standard. Know what that standard is. Know your rights before you start. And if something feels off, trust your instincts enough to ask questions. Now you know the law. Hit like, subscribe, and share this with someone who needs to hear it. And drop a comment below with the legal situation you want us to break down next. The law affects every part of your life, and you might as well know how it works. Knowledge is the one thing they cannot take from you. See you in the next episode of Know the Law.